did that hammock look like it felt good? I'm his big bear, Ron, and I'm telling you that hammock felt good. A few years ago, Little Bear and I decided to take a little road trip. So we woke up early one morning and we walked to the bus station. And once we got there, we boarded a bus and we rode for about a couple of hours until we got to where we were going. The place is called Via Escudero. They have a website, viaescudero.com, and you can find more information about them, and you can even make a reservation with them. But anyway, it's a huge coconut plantation. When we got off the bus, now I'd never been here before, and once we got off the bus, we walked across what we in the United States might call a country highway, sort of out in the middle of nowhere. And the coconut plantations there are a lot like some of the huge farms out here, where you can see forever and ever and ever, and you either see whatever kind of field it is. It's either fields of, like in an apple orchard, or a field of peach trees, or grapevines, it just goes on and on and on. Well, this plantation was all coconut trees, so it just went on and on and on in every direction. Once we got off the bus, we had to cross this highway, and then we got into a jeepney. The driver of that jeepney drove us into that coconut plantation for about what felt like 2 or 3 miles into the plantation. And all along the way, we crossed paths with some cattle, and we'd see a few goats here and there, some chickens, and there'd also be evidence that some farming and some, down-home country living was going on. It was off season, so that means not very many people were going to be there, and that was a positive sign for us.
I don't know how much memory that will pick up.
We were looking forward to what you might call a night or two away from it all, just some peace and quiet, and that's what we got. Well, our lodging was made out of bamboo. Our cottage, and in there was a little living room and a dining area and a bedroom downstairs, what you would call the master bedroom, and then there were a couple of bedrooms upstairs. And then complete with hot water for showering and a toilet, and so we were well accommodated. Anyway, beautiful open air cottage. It was built over the river, standing on poles, and as the sun set, that river scenery became even more beautiful. Well, once we checked in to our lodging, it was near time to go to lunch. But before eating lunch, we walked a bit around the grounds and saw some beautiful buildings and some beautiful artwork that was that reflected a bit of the community culture. And then it was time for us to go to lunch, and I'll show you some pictures about that in just a moment. I wasn't expecting what we were about to experience next. It was a brand new thing for me. I'd never done it before. But lunch, we would sit at tables that were sitting in the riverbed. And up the way a little bit was a dam right there, the water flowing down, so it's kind of like a waterfall there. And we'd walk through the water to go to the buffet, where with this huge spread of food. And our plate was a banana leaf on top of a sturdy bamboo weaved plate, and we just loaded that plate up with all the food that we wanted and carried it back to the table and chowed down. Good tasting food. It was so good that we went back for seconds. Have you ever had one of those nights you just sort of said to yourself, it just doesn't get much better than this? Well, that's what that night at Via Escudero was like. We could hear all of the nighttime nature sounds in the open air cabin that we were in while we were gently swinging in the hammock together. And we felt like we were the only ones on the entire plantation. What a peaceful night that it was. But before all that, we had a lovely dinner at the coconut plantation. And yet our table was right over the river, open air, lovely dinner. And then we walked around the whole plantation just to ourselves, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the night. Excellent service. Room service, yes, we ordered a few drinks and they brought them to us. It was a very lovely time. And the next morning we got up and we had a wonderful breakfast. And then from there on, it was time to get out the road map again and head on up the road.